si l'épithète tireur fou va m'être attribuée dans les médias. Je me considère comme un érudit rationnel que seule la venue de la faucheuse ont amené à poser des gestes extrémistes. Car pourquoi persévérer à exister si ce n'est que faire plaisir au gouvernement? Étant plutôt passéiste de nature, exception la science, les féministes ont toujours eu le don de me faire rager.
Polytechnique is directed by Denis Villeneuve. It is basically about a real-life tragic event about a shooting massacre that happened in Montreal, Canada by a horribly misogynist mass shooter. But before I start talking about the film, I actually have a lot to say, so I'll try my best to kind of blast through all this shit. But the first thing is that I'm sorry that if you hear a lot of fireworks going on outside, because I'm recording this on the 4th of July, so there's going to be a shitload of loud banging gunshot noises, which is kind of ironic considering I'm reviewing a film that's about a mass shooting. But, so if you hear that throughout the film, I apologize. There's nothing I can do about that. Secondly, this is a really cool shirt that one of my best friends, Perry, got me. I know some of you probably can't tell right now what it actually is, but it's a Stanley Kubrick 2001 Space Odyssey shirt. I'm gonna go grab my phone so I can just show you more detail. This is what it looks like more up close. I fucking love this shirt. I think it's so badass. And here's the title down here, actually. Oh, a bit further. There we go. I went ahead and unwrinkled it so you can kind of see it better, but go past it. 2001, A Space Odyssey. Yeah, I absolutely love this shirt. Perry got it for me for my birthday, so huge shout out to him for that. He also got me a Life Aquatic shirt, which I'll show off probably in a different review. And also really quick, I just wanted to give a huge shout out to everybody that showed up to support me on the live premiere of my short film, Mercy. I really appreciated all the people that were there. I'm actually going to go ahead and read off all the names that I know for a fact were there because they were commenting live. SC, it was nice to see you, bud. Jesus Perez was obviously there. Kevin Mosley, he's always there to support me. Thank you so much. Big Al was there. The Prophet was also there. Mia Wallace, thank you so much, Mia Wallace. Love the name. Pulp Fiction's awesome. Aaron Chassero, I don't know if that's how you pronounce the last name, but she was definitely there, and I highly appreciate you being there. Thank you very much. Marvel Fan 45 was also there. Appreciate you, bud. Tizzy 3410, thank you for being there. And I think that's about it. If I missed you, please let me know. I'm really sorry, but either way, I appreciate everybody who was there. And also for all those people who couldn't make it to the premiere but saw it later, I also highly appreciate you watching it and leaving me great feedback. And it really meant a lot to me that a lot of you guys showed up on the day and also a little bit afterwards to watch it and give me your feedback. So thank you all so much. I highly appreciate it. And if you haven't seen my thriller suspense film Mercy yet, I highly recommend you watch it. It would really mean a lot to me if you checked it out and gave me some feedback, whether it's negative or positive. As long as it's constructive, it is highly appreciated. So please check out my short film Mercy if you haven't yet. And also one last thing, I promise is the last thing, and I'll shut the hell up and actually talk about what the hell you clicked on this video for. Please join my Patreon page if you haven't yet. $1 will give you exclusive voting power, and you get to choose which film I do next. That's why I'm reviewing Polytechnique, because it is the one that won in the last Patreon poll. And also, if you give me $5 a month, you get granted access to the Discord, and then you can chat it up with me in the Discord, and you can ask me whatever the hell you want. We can talk about film, we can debate, we can do whatever the hell you want. Alright, I'm officially done with talking about everything that has absolutely nothing to do with this video. So, Polytechnique is directed by Denis Villeneuve, and like I said, it's a film that covers the awful tragedy of a school mass shooting that occurred in Montreal, Canada at a particular university. And it's a film that is quite unusual for Villeneuve to tackle, because most of the stuff that he does is, it's not based on anything that's real life. I mean, it tries to resemble real life in some cases, but they're not based on actual events. And so this was something that I went into expecting maybe something a little bit different. But one thing that I have to say is that going into this, I saw the runtime and it was a lot shorter than usual. Most Denis Villeneuve films go over 2 hours long, and this one was 1 hour and 17 minutes. So that's short for even normal film standards. And this came out a year before Incendy. And Cindy, as you guys know, if you haven't seen my review, I absolutely love that film. I think that film is absolutely fantastic. I already ordered the Blu-ray. Can't wait to get it in because that film just absolutely blew me away. But this film came out a year before it, and now that I've seen it, I gotta say, this was probably the most disturbing and unsettling Villeneuve film that I've seen this far. Because it portrays everything in terms of the kind of traumatic experiences that these people experienced. It portrays everything in an incredibly unforgiving way. And, but in my opinion, it does it in a way that doesn't feel like it's just trying to exploit a tragedy. I feel like a lot of this is genuinely trying to just do these people justice and portray the events in the way that people can really understand the terror that these people had to go through. And also, again, like, honor the lives of the people that were lost. I believe 14 women were killed here, and I believe 10 other women were injured, and 4 men were injured as well, but 14 women were murdered. And I feel like this film does a good job at not being exploitative of the subject, and really handles it in a way that's trying to get everybody to understand what kind of awful traumatic experience this is. And it's even more relevant today, especially in America with all these mass shootings. Lately, we haven't really had to deal much with that because of the coronavirus. But like before then, like almost every day was just some kind of new mass shooting. And this film remains extremely relevant. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the mass shooter had misogynistic motives. Basically, the whole reason why he went to shoot up this place was to specifically target and murder women because he hated the feminist movement and he hated feminists in general. And with a subject like that, it's really easy for a filmmaker to fall into having a political motive and being incredibly one-sided with the subject. And I feel like here, Villeneuve does a great job at sending a message, but he does it in such a nuanced way that doesn't feel like it's just trying to preach to one side of an audience. And I'm sure that there's some scenes in here where some people can watch and they're like, oh, this is just propaganda. But before you say something like that, you have to really think about, is this film being misleading, and is it being dishonest about anything that it's portraying? And if you honestly answer that with a no, then you can't possibly say that it's propaganda. And I feel like this film is incredibly honest to the realities of society, and it doesn't feel like, again, that it's just trying to just like preach to the choir and just trying to pander to one side. And I feel like this film does uncover a lot of the realities, again, in a way that's handled with class. This entire film just feels incredibly well handled, and he just finesses the shit out of it. And we haven't even gotten, right now we've only talked about the subject matter and the more of like the thematic relevance, but the aesthetics of this film, whenever you go into a Villeneuve film, always know that you're going to get just some exceptional direction. And it's especially with the cinematography with Villeneuve. Don't get me wrong, whenever you watch a Villeneuve film, it's always all the aspects really come together to make something that's really incredible and really immersive. But the cinematography to me in Villeneuve films and just the overall direction of the camera and the pacing just feels so delicate and so extraordinary, because you can tell, just like pretty much every Villeneuve film, every frame and every movement of the camera of this film feels incredibly purposeful, and you can tell that there was intention behind every single placement of the camera and the way the camera moves throughout this film. And it's just something that really keeps his films incredibly engaging, and this film is no different. Like I said, every single frame of this film feels incredibly purposeful. And it's framed beautifully, it's shot beautifully, and I just love always being able to get that consistent kind of quality when I go into a Villeneuve film. Just the way that the camera plays with angles throughout the film just really works for allowing the audience to really feel the emotion. Like, a lot of the emotion, besides the acting and everything, because the acting is also something that is really well done in my opinion. It was really, really convincing acting, if you ask me. But beyond that, like, to me, a lot of the emotion in this film was expressed through aesthetic means. There's a lot of aesthetic emotion in this film. For instance, there's a lot of moments where the camera's just doing this really slow, twisty, rotating type thing, and there's moments where the camera's just completely sideways, and it's going through like aisles of bookshelves, and there's also moments where the camera's just completely upside down and is having these really extraordinary tracking shots. And the way that, again, the film just plays with camera angles throughout the entire film is something that really immerses you into the actual suspense and into the trauma that's occurring on screen. But as I stated already, the acting is incredibly convincing, and this is not the easiest kind of emotion to portray. You really have a really difficult task with a lot of pressure on you to try to convey these kinds of emotions that these people have gone through and what a lot of people have gone through. And I just thought it was really excellent, really convincing. There wasn't a moment where the acting took me out. Both Villeneuve did a great job at directing the actors' emotions, and the actors themselves did a great job and really brought their talent to the table. And really the only thing I can say that kind of bothered me a little bit when I was watching this film was that there was a structural decision made somewhere like in the second, getting close to the third act of this film, where the narrative kind of stops and it goes this one route with a certain character, and I felt like it kind of slowed the film down. And I got where he was going with it in terms of, for purely thematic means, but I felt like it wasn't as interesting and I wasn't as engaged as what was happening beforehand. I felt like it could have just been placed better, because it really takes you away from the actual suspense that's happening. And for me, it kind of sticks a knife in the whole flow of the film. And for me personally, I don't think it really worked fully, but I wouldn't mind still keeping it in the film, just maybe putting it at a later point, because it does feel like a little bit left field. And there's also a certain direction decision taken by Villeneuve here that I'm still on the fence about, because there's a part in this film where I was really impressed that he was able to basically show the violence without showing it. Not saying that he can't show violence in this movie. I was perfectly fine with a lot of the other ways he did it, but I thought it was really creative in a certain way how he was able to portray a really tragic event without actually showing the exact thing that happened, because we can infer obviously what happened. But later on in the film, it actually kind of goes back to it, and then it actually shows it, just full force, just shows it. And I'm still on the fence about it. I don't know how I fully feel, because a part of me was really unsettled by it, and the effect that he was trying to go for on the audience, I think worked, because it really worked for me. It was really abrupt and a bit traumatizing. But at the same time, it's like, I also appreciate subtlety, and I also appreciate a director being able to actually convey something through more creative means without actually just blatantly showing something. So I'm kind of on the fence about it. It's weird, but there was just this certain decision that he makes that it's kind of a mixed bag for me. I'm kind of mixed on it. I don't really know exactly where I stand on it. But either way, I thought this was an incredibly effective film. The emotion in this film was absolutely harrowing, and it's extremely unsettling. Probably his most disturbing film. I thought Incendy was probably his most disturbing film, but now that I've seen this, it's definitely, they're both definitely battling it out right now, because they're both disturbing in their own ways. But this one is a bit more traumatizing and definitely gets you into a more unsettled, suspenseful emotion that is pretty hard to watch. Like, I could see people just not being able to watch stuff like this, especially those who have been affected by something like this, either personally or or they know somebody that's been affected by this. But one thing is for sure, that this film doesn't really hold back on that. It definitely tries to portray the events as realistically as possible, but in a really artistic way and with a lot of finesse that doesn't feel like he's just exploiting it. So I'm going to go ahead and give Polytechnique a 9 out of 10. There really hasn't been a single Villeneuve film that I think is below a 9 out of 10, at least that I personally seen. All the Villeneuve films I've seen essentially almost all of them now. have been a 9 out of 10 or higher. So this guy is just an incredible filmmaker. I can't wait to see Dune, hopefully by the end of this year. Hopefully it doesn't get pushed back, but there's a high chance that it might get pushed back. But I'm really pumped up for Dune. And this guy is just an incredible filmmaker. And for those who haven't really got that deep into his films, I highly suggest it, because this guy is an incredibly clever and artistic filmmaker that 9 times out of 10 can convey a lot through just subtle imagery. And he has a really good eye for aesthetic direction. So definitely highly recommend his stuff. But anyways, those are my thoughts on Polytechnique. Please make sure to leave your film requests in the comment section, because they will more than likely make it to the patron polls. If you're not a patron yet, please become a patron. It's only $1 to actually be able to vote on the stuff that I review on the channel. So $1 for voting and $5 to get access to the Discord. Thank you so very much. And if you really enjoyed what I had to say about Polytechnique, please give this video a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.